late. There you go.
Welcome to Graphic Novels 101. We are going to be talking about pitch packages
Welcome
today.
to Graphic Novels.
Okay, so guess what? My sister who works as she works in finance. She's like a senior VP. She knows a lot of people, but then she told me, Larissa, you know a lot of people. And I was like, I guess I kind of do. I have a lot of, people that I know from different aspects, being a teacher, working in animation, working as an illustrator, and just all the different places. Well, anyway, I know somebody. I know this woman. Her name is Sarah Rivers, and she is amazing. She was the editor for Charlie and the Octopus, the book that I worked on with her, and she recently became an agent, and she is a acquiring agent, which means she is open to submissions specifically for graphic novel author illustrators. And for some reason, I don't know why it took me so long to put 2 and 2 together, but just minutes before the class, I thought, I wonder if she'd like to speak to you guys about being an agent. And about what it's like to be an agent for author, illustrator, graphic novelists. And so I've asked her to join us, I think maybe next week or the week after that. She's going to come and talk to the class. I know, exciting, right? And she's going to talk to you guys about what it's like to be an agent, and what her role is in terms of building your career as an author illustrator, specifically as a graphic novelist, and what she does. She's worked as an editor. She's also a writer. She's editing her own novel right now. And like I mentioned, she is acquiring talent. So this is an opportunity for any of you guys to, have someone that you are connected to submit to. After she speaks with our class next week, you'll get a better idea of what specifically she is looking for. She may be looking for something that you're already working on. She may not, but at least the idea is you'll have the opportunity to hear what an agent does, what their role is in terms of working with creative people and all that other good stuff. So I'm just super excited to have her join us in the next week or two. And also, this is her MS wish list. And if you want to do this, follow her on Twitter. She is at Write Loudly. And if you can just go to my Twitter page and see what I retweeted, but this is her. Follow her, and you can look at her manuscript wish list and see if any of the stories that you're developing or working on fit or align with what she does. Okay, so how about that? I'm excited about that. Okay, so let's go to, we're going to be doing this. Where is it? Okay, so from beginning. We're going to be talking about how to make a graphic novel pitch package. And this is based on my experience, my research as I put my pitch package together. And I've got links, resources in this in these slideshows too. So, and Caleb is excited, right? to hear about.
I'm more excited than anybody because I've done pitches before, but full disclosure, they've always been in person. I've always found that the best place for me to pitch is in front of a crowd. So whenever I teach a class, we always sort of end the class kind of with what we're doing in this one, sort of where we create a little package, and then we pitch to each other. Like one of us goes up, we take 5 minutes, and we sort of like we basically present our little packages to everybody else, just saying basically in a nutshell what your story's about, what makes it unique to you, why it means something to you, and that's kind of it. And then other people can ask questions. This is entirely different, and so it's an entirely new animal to me, and I'm super duper excited that Larissa's gonna crack herself open and show us the inside of her amazing brain. So I'm stoked.
Okay,
as cool. I hope we all are.
Yes. All right. So, and here we go. So basically, a pitch package is an actual tangible thing that you would create in order to submit to an agent or a publisher, so that they can understand entirely what your vision is for your graphic novel. Okay. And this is basically, I got this from mariavicente.com blog/graphic novel pitch package, but there's other places where you can find this stuff. And this is where I pulled this from. But basically it's a package, like a packet that you would put together virtually or, physically. And it has everything about what you're doing. So it has the title page, which is the name of the book, the name of your project, with the name of all the creators attributed. So if it's just you, then great. If it's you plus a writer, then great. Anybody else you're working on with this project, you put their name on it. Okay. The overview is the second page. That's your elevator pitch. And we'll be talking about that in a few slides. But the overview involves the elevator pitch, the format with the number of pages and the suggested trim size, which is what you guys had, were already kind of doing with your thumbnails. And if you did inks last week, but you're setting up and telling them how big you want this thing to be. Your intended audience, if it's going to be for younger readers, if it's going to be for middle grade, if it's adult, and then your comp titles or comparison titles. And that just means other books that are out there that are similar to what you are wanting to do. So this is where your research is really important, and your understanding of what is out there, and your constant visiting of bookstores / libraries / comic stores to see what's out there, so you can see where your stuff fits in, if it does. And if it doesn't, then how you could kind of take maybe 2 or 3 different titles that your book would kind of fit along the lines with. Okay. Bio info. Who are you? Why are you important? What is it so special about you that is linked to what it is, the story that you're telling? So if you've got like a historical fiction and you are in, you have interest in, maybe your story is that, well, you grew up in this town that has to do with the story that you're writing about, or maybe where you're from, where you live, idioma, like maybe where you are in the world and how your connection is to the story that you're telling. So anything about you that's really special, that's unique, that's where you share it. Okay. Your character and setting description. These are the physical attributes and personality details. And this is also where the illustrations would go. Okay. So you're writing about your characters and you're writing about the setting, but you're also going to have images. Okay. And the images are your designs. Okay. And those are the designs that you've been working on. Okay. In this class. Sample pages. That's also the stuff you've been working on, and you're going to have at least 10 pages. Now, this is what I did. I've talked to another illustrator who actually has an agent who he didn't do 10 pages. He actually did the entire book, which I thought was a little crazy, but the bare minimum is that you do 10 pages. Okay. Your sample script. Okay. That means you have to have your script partially written if you are an author illustrator. Okay. And that's about 20 to 50 comic pages, which varies per agent. But I would say if you can start off with 20 pages of, and that could be like most likely the first, chapter or 2, maybe the first chapter of your manuscript. And 20 pages means that 1 page is 1 page of your graphic novel. So 1 page is like, 8 panels. It's not entire length of the page of the Word document. It's 1 page equals 1 page of panels. Okay, so that would be 1 page. And then the synopsis, which is the outline of your story written in paragraph form. And the synopsis is the beginning, middle, and end. Okay, it's not it's more than a summary. And you can look up synopsises of, which is what I do. You can look up synopsises of movies that and that'll help you get an idea of how to write your synopsis. Like, and this is what I do, because when people talk about scary movies, I don't like watching scary movies, but people get really excited about them and they say, oh, you should watch it. And I go, oh, there's no way I'm going to watch it. I will actually go to the Wikipedia page and I will read the synopsis of the movie. So I'll understand what is going on, but I don't have to like see all that scary stuff because I'm a wimp. Or if people are talking about plays and I've never seen like a play or whatever, I'll go over there. So you can look up on Wikipedia synopsises of your favorite movies, or any kind of thing. Yeah, Wikipedia is great for spoilers. Yes, which is fine because I want to know what's happening in these movies that I want to know what's going on, but I don't actually want to see. Okay, so what is a pitch? The elevator pitch. All right, so the elevator pitch it's very short, but the funny thing is it's hard to do. Okay, it's really hard to come up with. At least it was hard for me. It's a 1 or 2 sentence description of your story. Okay, and they call it the elevator pitch because it's what you would say to someone on a short ride up the elevator. So if you got into an elevator and Steven Spielberg was on the elevator and you have this story and you said, oh my God, here's my opportunity to tell Steven Spielberg my story, but I only have like, the ride of this elevator to tell him. What would I tell him? How would I get him excited? And that's what an elevator pitch is, okay? It should include your main characters, the hook of the story, and its central conflict, okay? It should build interest and make the reader want to know more about your story. So you have to mention who the character is, and you have to say what the central idea is, and then say something that makes the person that you're telling want to go, ooh, I'm so excited, I want to hear more, okay? And this can also be used as the first line in your query letter to an agent or a publisher. Now, query letter is something different, okay? Query letter is not necessarily part of the pitch package, but it's the letter that it's like a cover letter that you write to an agent when you're asking to be represented by them, or it's the part of your query letter that you send to a publisher when you are asking them to consider your graphic novel as a project that they want to publish, okay? So that is an elevator pitch. I think an elevator pitch can also be something like that. I don't know what the elevator pitch was for Alien. Was Jaws, but in space. So you take two things that someone is familiar with and you mash it together so that the person understands exactly what you're talking about. Okay. Then now that doesn't necessarily fit the criteria of including the main characters, but it gives you a basic idea of what the story is about. Okay. So here are the elements of an elevator pitch. Your characters. Who is your main character? What do they want? What is their goal? And you should already know this. If you don't know this, then you don't really have a story yet, because your whole story should be moving forward because of your character's main desire and what their goal is, what they want, and what is the conflict? What is it that is preventing, what's the obstacle that's preventing your character from attaining the thing that they want? Okay. What's the major obstacle to the main character in obtaining their goal? And then the distinction is, what makes your story so special? Why is your story different? Why is your story better? And don't say, oh, it's because I'm the next Stephen King, which, by the way, my friend Sarah was telling me that she actually received queries from people that say, I'm the next Stephen King. It's like, you can't do that. You have to figure out what it is about your story and who you are that makes your story different from everyone else's, okay? Another thing that's important, what's the setting? What's the time period? What's the genre, okay? My graphic novel is 24th century, okay? So it's a science fiction 24th century, so it's in the future, okay? Action, You need some excitement. Part of the pitch, you want to hook your viewer, your reader into it. So there needs to be some element of, drama, element of action, something that is precarious, that makes the person think like, ooh, something, this is interesting. Something's going to happen here. And I'm really excited to hear about how this character is going to solve this problem and obtain their goal in the midst of this conflict / excitement or action. Okay. So here are some sample elevator pitches. This is, here's one. When a Roman general is betrayed and his family murdered by an insane and corrupt prince, he comes to Rome as a gladiator to seek revenge, and that is Gladiator. In a future where criminals are arrested before the crime occurs, a cop struggles on the lam to prove his innocence for a murder he has not yet committed. Minority Report. Has anybody seen Minority Report? I really like that movie. Yeah. I was talking about my girlfriend the other day with Tom Cruise. She hates Tom Cruise. But I thought that was a good movie. Okay. Pirates of the Caribbean, a 17th century tale of adventure on the Caribbean Sea, where the roguish yet charming Captain Jack Sparrow joins forces with a young blacksmith in a gallant attempt to rescue the governor of England's daughter and reclaim his ship. Okay, so look at you. Take these pitches and break them down. Okay, so a Roman general, Gladiator, a Roman general. What's happening? He's betrayed. Okay, and what is happening to him? His family is murdered by who? An insane and corrupt prince. So just in those two words, descriptors, we understand who he's going up against. All right. Where does it take place? In Rome. He comes to Rome as a gladiator. And what is he doing? He's seeking revenge. So we know that he wants to, we know what his goal is. Okay. And we're bought into it because he's been betrayed. Okay. So look at these pitches and break them down into who. Okay. A future where criminals are arrested before the crime occurs. A cop. That's the main character, a cop. What's the conflict? He struggles on the lam to prove his innocence. For what? For a murder he has not even yet committed. How can you be on the lam for something that you haven't even done yet? Well, that's part of that movie. That's part of the draw of that movie, is that crimes, people are put in jail for crimes they haven't even committed yet, just because they have the intention to do so. So that's a new world. That's a new thing that's never been done, Where does it take place? In the future. Okay, so look at these pitches. You can also look up there's other places where you can find pitches and on the internets, and you can break them down and you can see how they're put together. And then what you're going to be doing this week, I think we haven't established that yet, Caleb, but I think it's an important thing to do, right? is look at your story and see about how you can develop a elevator pitch, okay, for your story. And I can't remember which book it was, Invisible Ink by Brian McDonald. I think that's the name of the author. If you can't come up with an elevator pitch, then that means that your manuscript is lacking. Okay. If you can't come up with, if you haven't a clarity to your character, the conflict, the obstacle, the setting, the action, all those elements, if you don't have those elements clear, then you don't have a very strong story. So this is one way to make sure that you, before you even write your manuscript, that you're developing a really strong pitch. And then of course, the thing is that pitch becomes the backbone of your manuscript. It's the thing, it's your lodestar, it's your North Star, or whatever you call it. It's what you use to make sure that you're staying on track with your story. Okay, because a lot of times you'll come up with a story and you'll have all these, different places that you want to go, and things you want your character to do, and environments you want to explore, and settings that you want to draw, and characters that you want to interact with. how do you bring it all together? It's through your pitch. Okay. So here's another thing. What's the tone of your pitch? After a twister transports a lonely Kansas farm girl to a magical land, she sets out on a dangerous journey to find a wizard with the power to send her home. Versus transported to a surreal landscape, a young girl kills the first woman she meets, then teams up with 3 complete strangers to kill again. I mean, they're both the same
Sounds legit.
movie, right?
Same story,
They're
different
both
tone.
the same story, but the tone is
Different
completely
audience.
different, right? Oh, I love it. Transported
I've
to a
seen this
surreal landscape.
recently, actually. This
Have
is
you?
actually
Just
pretty cool.
exact?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, just the second part, that not the comparison, but it makes perfect sense.
Yeah. She killed once and she'll do it again.
No, it really is brilliant. It's like those film students that take like a footage from like The Shining and then turn it into make a trailer for a romantic comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really
Mhm.
funny.
Yeah. So what's the tone? Think about, that, and that has to do with who your audience is. What are you trying to convey with your story? Who are the readers that you're trying to get for your particular story? Make sure that the tone of your pitch aligns with your story. All right.
Is it okay if I much of a thought in here?
Yeah, do it.
Okay, it's just really, this is something that I've run into. What goes into your pitch is just as much about what your story isn't as of what it is. So everybody wants to create a story that's everything to everybody, but that's not going to be what happens in your pitch. And it's more about what you leave out. So make it concise, like Larissa has been doing. Make it, think about, what's the most important thing. Leave those elements in there, and just try and, if it's about, it's basically it's an exercise in editing. Just try and figure out like what is the very heart of your story, and leave out anything that isn't just fundamentally elemental to that. Anyway, that's it.
No, you're right. It is about editing. It's really about getting it down really concisely.
I've had to redo it so many times.
You've got a really epic, broad-reaching story, and Caleb, we talked about this. And it really is.
Problem.
It's narrow it down. Get that funnel. Funnel and whittle it down to the barest of necessities.
Thing.
Yeah, and then think about how other things that tie into it will relate to that main thing. And if they don't, then they need to go, maybe, and because it's all about that one main idea, that one main conflict, and how your character will overcome the obstacles in order to achieve their goal. And if anything happens that's not pertaining to that doesn't push that narrative forward, it may not be serving your story. Might be fun, might be, scary, might be interesting, but it might not be valuable in moving your story forward. And even still, like, I'm on final artwork of my graphic novel. Our manuscript has been through several rounds of revisions, and even still in the final stages, the editor is still slashing panels and slashing dialogue, because it's just like, in the sense of, it looked fine and it worked fine in the manuscript, but once the manuscript got into pages or panels, and we're looking at the number of panels per page, we're seeing like, we really don't need 9 panels on this page. We really don't need this particular joke on this page. And a lot of them are jokes that are being cut out, which don't service the story. They're just little funny asides. So, and it's constantly, it's constantly evolving. So one of the reasons why I thought it would be so fun to do this class on graphic novels and putting together a pitch is because I think that the project that I put together with Keith it was done in record time, and it was sold in record time. It like, I can't even remember, but it was like it was a few months. And so this is, hello. This is the ever coveted announcement on Publishers Weekly. But this includes the pitch, and it isn't necessarily the pitch that we wrote, but it's the pitch that we developed and our editor revised. So this is our editor, Clarissa Wong at HarperCollins, has brought at auction world rights to a middle grade graphic novel by author illustrator team Keith and Larissa Marantz entitled Blake Laser. This is the pitch. Set in the 24th century, the book features the eponymous, how do you say that? Eponymous 12-year-old inventor, along with her parents and annoying older brother, who must stop aliens from stealing the sun's energy, which would lead to the total destruction of Earth within 48 hours. Does that sound engaging? Does that sound intriguing? Does that sound interesting? Is there action? Yeah. How the heck is this 12-year-old girl going to stop aliens? And how is she going to save Earth? Well, you'll just have to buy the book to find out. Well, let me finish it first. Let me finish making it first. Okay. FYI, the publication date is being moved, but that's okay, because it takes time. Like my art director said, good art takes time. So yeah, it's a 24th, what our elevator pitch was, a 24th century science fantasy about a biracial girl who is unaware of her genius and has to save the planet from aliens. But in the announcement that, you know, biracial wasn't really necessarily part of telling the story. You know, I thought it was interesting to put in there for my pitch so that when I was selling the pitch, they would understand that it was an own voices, hashtag own voices, or, you know, diverse voices kind of a thing. So yeah, here's other pitches that you can look at. If you're ever on Twitter and you follow authors or illustrators, you may have seen these announcements from Publisher Weekly. But you can also look on, I think you have to have like a subscription or whatever, to Publisher Weekly. But this is a great place to find pitches and how succinct and clear they are. Mallory Cass at Scholastic has acquired Anxious Girl Summer by Kara McDowell. One way or another, pitched as a while you were sleeping inspired young adult romantic comedy. So that's interesting. While you were sleeping plus comedy plus romance. Okay. So this is the whole like aliens, but in space, or no, yeah, Jaws, but in space mashup that gives you the quick tonality of what the story is about. Okay, and then the pitch. 16-year-old Gemma, who has undiagnosed social anxiety disorder, rescues her longtime crush from drowning, and he ends up in a brief coma. People mistakenly assume she's his girlfriend. As the story spirals and Gemma finds herself at the center of attention, she must decide which truths to keep and what and who she most wants to protect. Okay. And then the second one, when Annabelle's best friend is murdered, she must unravel the mystery her friend was in the midst of solving, one that may involve a popular true crime podcast. So these are some examples. Okay. All right. Here's a question that people ask. Does your graphic novel need to be complete to pitch it? Are you the author and the illustrator? No. So most of you are all here because you're illustrators, because this is a drawing class. So that means that guess what? Your graphic novel does not have to be completely written. Good news. But if you're here and you just be pretending to be an artist and you're not drawing and you're really a writer and you don't want to draw at all, guess what? You have to write the whole darn thing. Okay. Yes. So why do you need to write the whole thing? Well, this slide isn't necessarily for you, but this is a slide that I had created for another this is for Cartoon Network, where I was talking to writers. So if you are solely the writer of a graphic novel, you will be most successful finding representation with a complete script. Why? Your words will need to sell the entire story. Since graphic novels are such a highly visual product, agents need to know that you understand the format and can write a script that guides the illustrator through the story in panel form. Having a complete script is especially important for debut writers without prior comic experience. At the very least, you should have 2 or 3 sample chapters of the script complete, as well as a full synopsis that covers the entire plot of the project ready for submission. So authors that are illustrators, or I'm sorry, artists that are also authors, that second bullet point is yours, okay? Just the second part of that. You should at the very least have 2 or 3 sample chapters of the script complete, as well as a full synopsis that covers the entire plot. And I had said before that it's probably just 1 chapter. And I guess it depends, depending on how long of, how much of the story you have. What did I say at the very first slide? It was 20 pages, 20 to 50 pages. So depending on how many chapters, you have in like 50 pages, it all depends. But you need to at least have some of it written, not all of it, okay? So what the heck is a synopsis? A synopsis, like I mentioned before, is an abbreviated telling of the story. It can be anywhere from just a few paragraphs to 1 or 2 pages, but probably no more than 2 full pages. Unlike the elevator pitch or summary, the outline or synopsis is not a teaser. It is the full telling, so that the agent or the editor can read the whole thing and understand what is going to happen at the beginning, in the middle, of the end, where the conflicts are, who the characters are, where the story is taking place, all the plot twists and turns, all of those things are outlined or written in the synopsis. All right. Spoilers too. And if you have a story where you've got spoilers, these are really hard to do, but if you can, the way that you create spoilers is by going backwards, is writing from the spoiler and then trying to figure out how to interweave that into your story so that it becomes a hidden mystery secret that can be overturned or that can be discovered. Okay. So it's not something, and spoilers, not spoilers, but twists is what I meant. Twists. The twists, the plot twists. The plot twists are things that throw everyone off, right? You've all read good stories where there's like, oh my God, I didn't see that coming. If you can create those in your stories and navigate from that point back into your story and interweave that into your story in a way that's successful, then that's the way you can approach it. Okay, so the partial script. So you include the first 1 or 2 chapters, or roughly the first 20 pages. Okay, and I know I said 20 pages here, and then the other slide said 20 to 50. I think at least having 20 pages is a good start. Okay. While the outline or synopsis gives an overview of the full story, the partial script will provide a closer look at your storytelling style and the pace of the book. So that means that you're going to be writing it like an actual script, okay? Formatting it in that way. Note, if you're a writer submitting a graphic novel proposal without an artist, you may be required to send the full script, like I had said before. Okay. So, and I'll show you a sample of that. And there's also places online that you can go and see formatting for sample scripts. There are also programs that you can get, like Scrivener, Comic Script. I think there's another, there's other programs out there that you can use that will allow you to just write your story and it formats into script format automatically. So you don't have to indent and all caps, like make your characters in all caps and things like that. But at least Caleb uses Celtics. What is that?
Oh, are you asking me to answer?
Yeah.
It's a writing program that automatically formats your writing as you go. Mm-hmm. It's pretty bare bones, and it's super cheap. I believe it's free. But it'll allow you to write scripts, and it also has a comic format that allows you to use. Scrivener is a lot more It has a lot
Script
more
more
bells
for
and whistles. It'll even help
novels.
you. Scrivener even will help you like come up with names, depending on like the geographic area. Like if you want to use alliteration, like Roald Dahl or J.K. Rowling, things like that.
Wow.
So it takes things like that into account. It's much more powerful. I know a lot of people really like Scrivener, but I
Mhm,
tend to use Celtx because I believe I'm pronouncing it right,
mhm.
because it just automatically, it goes from, page, you hit return and immediately goes to panel, you hit return again, and then it goes to dialogue or captions or anything like that, sound
Yeah.
effects.
Okay. Yeah, if you can find a program that formats it for you, that's so much easier to do, because then you're not trying to spend time figuring out how to make your script look like a script.
Right.
Who is it? Siobhan Irving said, writer duet is another one that is relatively easy to use. So these are things that I'm not familiar with. Um, but that's okay. You can just Google it. You can Google it and find script formatting programs. They're out there. But before you even do, you want to make sure that your story is strong. Write your story. Don't get into please don't get into writing your script until you have a strong pitch. Okay. All right. So your bio. What does your bio say about you? 3 to 5 sentences that tells a little bit about you and any previous work or history worth noting. So if you've done, web comics, or if you've been working on your own projects, what those projects involved, your own personal projects, anything relevant to you that makes you interesting, your schooling, your education, your experience, any places you traveled, what your particular interests are, anything. What is it that makes you you? What is it that makes you special? That's what you put in your bio, okay? Be sure to also include any links to your website or relevant work that can be found online. Your Instagram, your social media, if you're posting your artwork there, or, Tumblr or whatever. If the book is a collaboration, make sure you include bios for everyone involved, okay? What else do you need to include? You need to include your character in your concept design. So obviously you want to do your main characters, and you guys all drawn your main characters. So that's what you do. You show your main characters. Any background settings, important props or vehicles. What's the look of your world going to be like? Okay. Anything visually cool that will sell your story as unique. That's what you want to put in. Okay. Your model sheet, so that your characters, you design your characters, you got to put those in. You got to show what your characters are going to look like. If you've done any additional character drawings, pose sheets or whatever, I included. I don't know if I actually included these. Yes, no, I did. I did include these size charts and sketches. I did these for myself, but I included them in the pitch package because I wanted them to see that I knew what I was doing. So this necessarily isn't something that they required or would be required in a pitch package, but this was just me flexing, saying I can do this. But you definitely want to have expression sheets, personality poses for your characters, maybe individual facial expressions or full body personality poses, so that they can see the range of your characters' personalities and just how your characters are going to be looking in the story, the type of personalities they are. Okay. Other designs. So these are just some schematics of like the bridge on the spaceship that I designed, and that spaceship is an old design. That schematic is something that I designed for myself in order to do the layout for the sample pages. But anything that you draw in terms of building the world is stuff that you can use in your pitch, and that's definitely something you want to be showing. Okay. So what are the pages, the actual pages that you want to put in? You want to put in 10 sample comic pages. And at least this is what I found worked for me. And this works for many agents and many publishers. But of course, if you were applying or not applying, but if you were submitting your pitch package to a graphic novel publisher or comics publisher that is open to unsolicited manuscripts, meaning that you don't have to have an agent to submit, then you still are going to want to look on their what their requirements are of how many pages, sample pages they want. But generally it's 10 sample pages, and you only need to do 3 in color, only 3, and the rest can be in black and white. Okay, so here are my sample pages. The first sample page that I did was the title page. And I started out with the I started off in the beginning of my story. Now, you don't necessarily have to start off in the beginning of your story. I think it's a great place to start. But if you have sample pages for your story that are, in the middle, or maybe around the conflict, right before, the turning point, that could be done too. But you're basically, what you're trying to do is just show your ability to create successful visual narrative storytelling in a sequential way, that you understand pacing, that you understand panels, and that you understand the whole format. Okay, Caleb says unsolicited books are out there, but they're few and far between, and unless you are well known, any leverage you have to get a good contract will be tiny. Yeah, you want to go on that more, Caleb?
Well, I'm just talking about if you actually want to give your work out there to an actual comic book publisher. Typically, comic book publishers they tend to be kind of mom and pops. They tend to be really, really small, unless they're the big two. And even the big two, like Marvel and DC, will only really bring you on and allow you to pitch your own project if you're pretty well known. And if you're successful in pitching your own project at, to a place like an independent publisher like Boom or IDW down here in San Diego, odds are they will probably, they will allow it, but they will write your contract in a way that, that says, for the most part, you're kind of on the hook for most of the book, or they can cancel it at any time if it doesn't do well. What really makes a good contract, apparently, and this is something that I've learned talking with people with big social media followers and stuff like that, enormous numbers on like Tumblr or Twitter, is that the more people that follow you, the better. So that gives you more leverage to figure out, to write the kind of contract that you would like.
Yeah.
Or you could just not wait for anybody's permission and just create your own book and put it out there for anybody to read whenever. Yep. There was somebody who had all the boxes checked, Noelle Stevenson, who was really well known on Tumblr. She had an enormous, it was she at the time. They had an enormous social following, and they went ahead and did their own comic. It was called Nimona, and then and then a publisher bought it, and they added a ton of new stuff to it. It was kind of nuts, but things like that are fairly rare. But at the same time, if you've got, there's no reason why you have to wait for anybody's permission to create your own comic. It takes time, and it'll take it takes an investment in a lot of different fields. But the best thing to do, from my experience, is just to sort of swallow whatever gumption you got and just have a go at making it.
Yes, have a go. That's why you're all here, right?
That's it.
Okay, so Shirley asked, will I be giving an overview about payment, what we could expect as a debut? We can talk about that. Remind me at the end. For graphic novels, for second takes, unsolicited manuscripts. Yeah, I don't know. They probably, I don't know if they do or not, actually. Do they? Is graphic novels a little for a second? I don't know that they do or not. That's something that you could look up. I thought that first second only takes
unsolicited manuscripts. They do take
Do
unsolicited
they?
manuscripts. There are lots of publishing companies that take
Fantastic.
unsolicited manuscripts.
Great, good,
Yeah,
wonderful.
but like I said, but first, second, they do graphic novels. Not This isn't a monthly comic book thing. I was talking
Yeah.
about monthly comic book stuff.
Okay.
If you've got something in mind for doing something like that, it's even harder because
Yeah.
those guys tend to live or die by your local comic book store.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Well, yeah,
but
so
graphic novels is a slightly different thing. This is
yeah,
this is
graphic
and this is
novels for
graphic
sure,
novels.
for sure. You know, like in our first class, we talked about all the different publishers that are, you know, running graphic novel imprints. And that's what you're looking at. Okay. So anyway, going into the
Sorry, guys.
sample pages. So this was my sample page from the title. Okay, so we'll just go into it. And by the way, like pretty much all of this has changed. But this was the idea, was to show the setting, the characters, and what was happening. So we see a spaceship, we see Blake in the spaceship, we zoom in closer, we see she's kind of noodling on something. We see that she's excited. She's kind of upgrading her little iPad, not iPad, she's upgrading her little, you know, computer unit thing. She looks at her clock and she is angry. That's her pump. So we figure out, like, wait, why is she upset? So we see her coming out of her room. She walks, whoosh, door closes. She's irritated. She stands here. She knocks on the door, sighs, and then says, wake up, time for the meeting. And then we see on the other side of the door, it's a boy sleeping with candy wrapper in his hair. We see thump, 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 candy wrapper in his head. And she says, wake up, dad's going to be mad, thump, thump, thump. And he says, what time is it? She says, I'm not your personal alarm clock, Brody, let's go. And he says, I don't suppose you have a snooze button on you anywhere. So we already get the idea that she is irritated by her older brother, and her older brother is irresponsible because he can't get himself up on time, and he's a slob because he has food wrappers in his hair. So they're walking down the corridor. She says to him, it's getting a little old always having to cover for you, Brody. He says, isn't that what my little sister is for? And she rolls her eyes, and he says, I mean, my amazing little sister. Gives her a noogie. She pushes him back, and she says, please stop, save the sucking up for mom and dad. They may buy it, but I don't. And he looks very satisfied with himself. So she pushes the buttons on the door. Shoom. He runs in through her, past her, and says, we are here, parental units. And she is so tired of him. Here's the next color page, color spread. So this is pretty much going to stay the same. Good morning, guys, right on time. Even Brody, I like it. 3 huzzahs for that boy. So we see how he is winning over his parents, even though she can't stand it. And then he continues, oh my, you're both looking fantastic this morning. I didn't realize recycled air could do such wonders for the skin. Barf. Well, okay then. So you see how he's sucking up to his mom and dad and how she's just so sick of it. It's 0800 hours. Time to start the, Dad, can you please just say 8 o'clock? You're not in the military anymore. He looks, it's 0800 hours and 1 minute. Time to start the meeting. Dad, please, thump. Blake, don't interrupt your father. So now we're seeing the dynamic of the family, how this poor girl is just so sick of her brother. Her brother wins over her parents, and she's also sick of her dad being in the military and how he's just not being a regular dad. Don't interrupt your father, Blake. Fuming. Shut up, kids. Oh, okay. Enough. Dad takes a pause, a breather. Mom looks up. They're all a little upset. She's agitated. He's feeling bad. Oh yeah, we clearly have an outbreak of cabin fever. I used to see it all the time on deep space missions. Preventing crewmen from blasting each other out the trash jettisons was a full-time job. But we do this at home. It appears that a 2-week trip from Earth in tight quarters is wearing everyone a bit thin. Let's all take a deep breath. Yoga pose. They look at Blake. Dad says this project is supposed to be a pleasant family experience, so let's reboot and try this again, shall we? It's 08, it's 8 o'clock, roughly. Yeah, can we get started now, please? So in this 10 pages, what we see is the dynamic of the character and her relationship to the brother, the mom and dad, the brother's dynamic with the mom and dad. we are seeing the setting, we're seeing not necessarily the main conflict, but what we're seeing is where the story is going, okay? And how long they've been doing this. You know, they've been in tight quarters for this long period of time. They're all getting agitated, you know, and they have something that they need to be doing. So this is like, well, where are they going? What is it? What's happening? What's this family doing? Right. So this was the extent of my pitch. All right. This is what a synopsis looks like. Okay. So you put synopsis for title, and then you know who it's by. Blake Laser. So this is our synopsis, the beginning of our synopsis. Daughter, sister, inventor. She's a 12-year-old genius living in the 24th century, dealing with relatable 21st century problems, one of which is her inability to recognize her own extraordinary capabilities. As Blake and her family set out into space to build the solar system's first ever resort on an asteroid, they also intend to engage in some much needed family bonding time. Instead, they are immediately redirected by the Interplanetary Space Control Center to locate the source of a dangerous threat to the sun that would eliminate all life on Earth within 48 hours. Unfortunately, due to a hard landing on the asteroid, their interplanetary communications are cut off and they are on their own. It is up to Blake and her family to save Earth. So in that quick synopsis, it's actually a little bit different. The full synopsis would be like a beginning, middle, and end. And that one was a little bit of a quicker synopsis. This is an example of what that sample script would look like, okay? At the end of this, you will have several drafts, but you need to put drafts, 1.0 at the very beginning. I think we have like 7 point something. And each page would look something like this. Page at the top, the chapter heading, and then each panel with a full all caps of what, let's see, this is a full spread, so it has full spread, and then a description, the description of what's happening, what can be seen, and what characters are in each panel. And anytime there is a character or, object or a particular vehicle, like a named vehicle, we have the spaceship SS Altasar, that's in all caps. So this is a description of what's happening on this page. So we have, actually, why is this full spread? Panel 1, full spread. Okay, panel 2, panel 3, panel 4, panel 5, panel 6, panel 7. So yeah, you'd have to write out your panels, and I think we did this wrong, but in this, yeah, this is the first version, so this is before we knew. But anytime you have a character there, the character should be all caps. Yes. Okay. So there are examples or samples of scripts out there that you can access on the internets, on the YouTubes, maybe not the YouTubes, but on the Googles. Sample scripts that you can find, and that'll help you format how you want to write your scripts. Okay. Now we're going to talk about it's an hour in, getting an agent, and why you want an agent, or why you should try to get an agent, or why having an agent is helpful. Okay. So the benefits of having an agent is a literary agent. They are going to basically be your go-between between you and the publisher or the editor, okay? Because their job is to know people. Their job is to know editors. Their job is to know what these editors at different publishing houses want and what they want to be putting out. And what their role is to help those editors find stories, because they love stories and they want to help the creation of those stories come to fruition. Okay. And so what they do is they work with you, the creator, to improve your story and to find the right place for it. Okay. So their knowledge of people in the publishing industry is one of the key things that you want to have an agent for. They also will often negotiate higher fees for you, which is for sure a thing that happens. They know about contracts, they know about writing contracts, they know about protecting their clients. And so they will, when they write a contract for you, they will be able to negotiate a higher fee for you than you would even know. Okay. That's one of the most important things. They also know the value of different kinds of work based on the vast type of clients that they have. So typically yeah, just the agent will understand what kind of work is involved with whatever projects you're doing. Okay. And then you have access to the combined experience and advice of your agency. So you have an agent who is at an agency. That's usually what the case is. Not only are you working with that agent, but with whatever agency they're with, the knowledge of all the other agents and the head of the agency, they're all looking out for their clients as well. So these are the reasons why you want to do what you can to kind of build up your portfolio, meaning your artwork that you have on your website, and your graphic novel pitch package, and build it so that you can submit it to an agent in seeking representation. Okay. All right. Here are other benefits of having an agent. Often agents will have a creative background, so they can talk to you about your work with at least some knowledge of your technical process. My agent is, she used to be an editor. My other friend, Sarah Rivers, who is an agent, she also was an editor. So there are sometimes, usually people that become agents, they have worked in the publishing industry some way, shape, or form, and they love books, and they are, doing what they do because they want to help in the creation of making these books. So I'll have some understanding of that process. Some agents work more editorially than others, which means that they'll play a larger hand in helping you craft your story, and some agents won't. Some agents will kind of give you a rough guideline as to like what you need to do, but they might be a little bit more hands off in helping you craft that. So that's something to know. Agents can protect you from unfavorable contracts, clients taking liberties or asking for too much, which is another great thing too. They know which clients are good to work with and which aren't. For the first year that I was working with my agent, she was sending me a lot of queries once I had my artwork on her website, and a lot of those queries came from people that were self-publishing. And so she was helpful to me. Like if I had not had her, I might have taken on a lot of those projects, but a lot of those projects wouldn't have paid me as well as the projects that she was able to negotiate for me. So she was able to help me make sure that I was spending time on the things that were most valuable. They also will fight for your rights if you have been unfairly treated by a client or your work has been used without authorization or payment. Okay. Oh, and then I think this is the last one. I shared this with you guys last week. The how long is my comic artwork going to take? And you want to use your comic deadline planner to help you kind of figure out all those dates and stuff. I think, yeah, that's the end of my slides. I think that's it. Okay, so there was a question about, or was the question about the fee? Basically, an overview about payment. What could you expect as a debut? It depends. It depends. In fact, I'll have to write this down and make sure that I post it later. There is a website that authors and illustrators it's a document. It's actually not a website. It's a spreadsheet that authors and illustrators were inputting how much they got paid for their various projects. And it's really good to know. But basically, I'll explain to you. So when you sign a contract, basically the publisher is saying, we are agreeing to put your book out. We are agreeing to take your book after you're done. Yeah, publishing paid me. That's it, Sarah. I think that's it. Is that the spreadsheet? I think that was it. Yeah, it's a spreadsheet. So what you want to be doing is, God, I completely lost my train of thought because I was thinking about that publishing paid me site. The idea is that you want to make sure that you know how long it's going to take you. And how do you know how long it's going to take you? Well, figure out how long it takes you to do one page or one spread. All right, from start to finish. And that includes your ideation, your thumbnails, your line art, your cleaning, your revision, your final art. And this is basically how you figure out how long it takes you to do any kind of illustration and how you can make sure that you're getting paid appropriately for whatever project that you do. But figuring all those things out, and that's why I put times on that. I timed myself when I was developing my work so that I could see how long it took me. And then you basically add that up and multiply it times however many pages you have. And that's how long it takes you. Jeff says, oh, Larissa, although you had 3 color pages in your 10-page sample, the rest were fully rendered in grayscale. Do you recommend that level of finish for a pitch? I would recommend that you do 3 colors and that you do the rest in black and white, and that you do the rest that are in black and white clean, that they shouldn't be rough. I would recommend that they be clean and clear so that they understand how well your storytelling capability can be told. Okay. And that's what I do. I know Sarah Steinberg had done color work before, but you submitted in your homework this weekend blue monotone ink work, and I thought that was beautiful. So that kind of work would be great in creating your pitch package, as long as it's showing the level of work that you want to do, but it's not full color. Okay. I don't know. Was there anything else? Okay. Caleb. Oh wait, Brigitte said, Brigida, what if you want to do your book in black and white? If you want to do your book in black and white, then you don't have to do any in color. You just do it all in black and white. But maybe, do you still submit color versions? No, if you're going to do it only in black and white, then just do it in black and white. But maybe the 3 black and white can be complete inks, and then the 7 pages can be clean sketches. Okay. All right. Caleb, you want to talk about color now? Or does anybody have any questions about pitches?
Oh my gosh, I have so many questions.
Okay, let's
do for a second. No, hold on. Oh my gosh, there's a bunch of people in the chat.
Okay.
So Mel asks, do you have any advice for looking at agents? I had an illustrator friend who had a bad experience.
Yes. Okay.
And then Jeff Larkin has another question. So answer Mel first, maybe?
Yes. Okay. Thank you for the questions. Sorry, I don't want to run into the next thing. All right. Do I have an advice for looking at agents? So I had mentioned in the chat with Anne Appert and Lauren Pierre, and then another interview that I had done, that looking at agents is looking at someone that you are going to develop a relationship with. And it's like a marriage. It is not the acquisition of a person to do things for you. It is which is what I was thinking. I was running around like with my shorthand like affirmation in my head: get an agent, get an agent, get an agent, get an agent, get an agent. And the second that I stopped saying get an agent and started saying find an agent to have a relationship with, that's when things change for me. Okay. And the way that you look for agents is going on Twitter, looking for manuscript wish lists, looking up the agents that represent author illustrators, finding out who represents graphic novelists. Okay, doing your research on those particular agents, who they represent, who their clients are. That means who they represent, what those clients have done, if those stories align or are similar, not necessarily similar, but align with the kind of storytelling that you do. Looking at that agent's manuscript wish lists, looking at the type of stories that they want to promote, which is great. And thank you for the link to that, Brigida. And researching that agent and who they represent, and the books that they represent. And also another good thing is how many, if they're an established agent, how many deals they've made, what kind of deals they've made. That was something that I was looking at too. So those are the ways of researching agents, and then making a list of that, and keeping tabs on those people, connecting with those people, not stalking them on the internet, but maybe if they post articles, or if they've done an interview, looking at what they've written about. So you're just getting to know who they are and what they want, and seeing if you're a fit for them. Okay. And then once you do find out all this information, and you find agents, and you've gotten a list together of the agents that you feel are a good match for you, then you want to look at how to submit to them. And you want to, first of all, you have to look and see if they're open to submissions. Okay. If they're not open to submissions, then you can't query them. If they're open to submissions, then you have to put together your query letter. And a query letter, gosh, there's all kinds of articles on writing query letters. If you go to kidlit411.com, just type in query in the search engine, and you'll find a ton of resources on writing query letters to agents. And then you would be including your pitch package in that too. So that's kind of how that's my short description of that, how to approach looking for an agent.
We have a couple more questions here, but I'm going to jump in front of all of them because I'm a jerk. But I will get to Jeff's and then to Mark's here in a second. Do you have a sample query letter that you could show us?
Yeah.
But I mean, if it's covered with like legalese or anything like that you would rather, or language that you can't show, I'll totally understand if you can't.
Let me see if I can find it. Hold on a second. It might take me a hot second.
Well, let me while Larissa's looking for that, I want to say that I actually attended about 2 years ago. I attended a symposium on artists' rights and bargaining power.
Mm-hmm.
And I mentioned before that a lot of publishers, they use old-fashioned metrics when figuring out, how to negotiate a contract with an artist, especially an author artist. And a lot of their habits tend to be old boilerplate from the 80s, stuff like that. More often than not, art directors are kind of hip to artists acknowledging their own value, but a lot of industries and a lot of book publishers are still kind of catching up. And I did mention that the first thing, of course, that most publishers are going to look at is like your fame, your fan base. They'll think of that as like the biggest thing to consider when acknowledging your earning power and your positive energy on part of your negotiation. That's not the only thing. It doesn't just arrive from talent and success and stuff like that. What it comes from is really knowing yourself, being at ease, knowing especially what you want out of a negotiation. And that only really comes from talking to people who negotiate, like agents, figuring out what is fair. I keep looking around and talking to other artists, and like the average for an author artist to start with their own 75 to 100 page graphic novel is somewhere between $30,000 to $50,000. And that's a huge margin. Okay, it's a lot, and it's not very accurate. The best thing to do is to talk to people, talk to agents, move past your own resistance, move past your own fear, whatever's holding you back, and ask questions of yourself, and then talk to these people like they're collaborating with you, because they are. What do you want to achieve? Especially if you're just starting out. What you're going to want now is going to be different than what you want in 3 years. So think about where you want to begin. Do you just want to be comfortable, but you still want to be able to make more stuff? So that's great. Do you want to be tied down to a lengthy contract? Maybe not. In this case, maybe you'll want to earn less money up front, and take like things like dividends long term. We want to get paid on the back end. And then when the offer comes, assess the scope. Is it clear? Is there a deadline? The terms offered, do they make sense? Is the offer attractive? Don't mention money. Let them do it. That's like number one for everybody. When they mention money, what's realistic? Think about what kind of rights are going to belong to you once you sign the contract. More often than not, agents try to get at least like a partial rights transfer to you for at least a couple of years. Like 4 years for rights to belong to you is long, or rights belong to them, that's long. If they, basically what they could do is once the rights expire, they could get new artists, but if they revert back to you eventually, that's great. But if it takes too long, get another edition of the contract.
I found a query letter.
Oh, you did? Fantastic. Okay, well, anyway, basic thing is talk to agents, talk to people who do negotiation for graphic novels, especially for people who do, or talk to other artists that do their own negotiation. There are lots of them out there, believe it or not. And just get a feel for the conversation of what to ask for, what to expect. And more often than not, and what'll be really important is that you will become more confident and you'll know what you need as a result of that. Anyway, thank you very much. Sorry about that. There's a bunch of other stuff here, but thank you. Larissa, would you mind sharing your query?
Yes. Okay. Let's see here.
Sorry for blathering, guys. You guys
No.
are really patient.
Actually, okay. I only have a query letter for my picture book for Clyde.
That's cool.
But I think it'll be fun. Okay, I'll share with you two. Okay, and look at this was submitted to Bright. You can see all this is the list of agencies that I submitted to, and looking down here, my rejection letter. I'll leave it to you. Okay, so I submitted this.
I could literally wallpaper each of your bedrooms with my rejection letters.
Oh my God. All right. So I sent this to Mrs. Armstrong. I can only imagine the disbelief that one may have while reading an unfinished emailed query. Imagine my disbelief when realizing that the send button was clicked prematurely. This is bad. This is really bad. Perhaps it was my excitement of discovering an agency that could truly be a lovely fit with myself as a growing artist, or perhaps it was my devilish cat walking across my keyboard. Nonetheless, what is done is done. I have made my first impression with an incomplete query, and I must begin again to right the wrong. So I begin again. This
Did you
is
ever
like
apologize
atrocious.
during any of that? I loved that. There isn't the word "I'm sorry" isn't in that first paragraph anywhere. I feel everybody take a snapshot of this. That is ingenious. Well done. Conjure a devilish cat in all your emails. Yes.
Yeah.
Blame your crap email on your cat. That's what they're for. Well done.
Thanks. After hearing some really wonderful things about your agency from a person, a reference, I'm referencing someone, Erica Meza, I am very interested in the chance of becoming an artist in your group of talented illustrators. This is my bio and my experience. So what have I done? I've worked as a character designer, blah, 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 blah. My past experience as a quick sketch portrait artist, blah, blah, blah. This is the stuff that I've done. However, I've been illustrating in my own style in the last few years, and I'm very interested in developing a series of books based on some fuzzy little animal characters my husband and I created called the Fuzz Buds. We have worked together as an author-illustrator team, hoping to find a place where we can both develop our stories and characters. Included in this email is a picture book dummy of Clyde Likes to Slide. Clyde, an adorable 500-pound hippo, experiences anxiety while deciding to go down the big slide at the playground. That's the pitch. Clyde also likes to hide, but he's not very good at it. That's the pitch to the second book. Here's my portfolio, which at the time was on Behance. Thank you for taking the time to reread my query. I hope it was with your while. Okay, here's another one. This is one I sent to Lori Kilkelly. This one's a good one. I never thought I would paint again. It was 2 a.m. and what would become a typical nightly ritual for the next several months of my life, and I was rocking my newborn baby boy to sleep. He was a terrible sleeper, and he was even worse at nursing, which made the whole nighttime ritual even longer than I imagined it should be. I rocked that baby to bed night after night, and I imagined my skills as an artist slowly atrophying with every sleepless night. But babies grow, as we all know, and sleep-deprived mothers will eventually shower and go back into the world and function like the normal people they used to be before child rearing. Take the scenario and multiply it by 3, and you've got a quick glimpse of my life as a mother. Today, my babies are growing bigger and are learning to drive, cook, and do book reports without the help of their mother. Throughout these years, I've observed quietly and made mental notes of the special moments that I never want to forget. It is through these images and the depths of my mind that I call upon when I illustrate the tender moments of parenting and childhood. It was extremely beneficial, even while I worked as a character designer for the Rugrats animated television show. So I'm putting my more experience. No one else on the entire animation crew could claim to have breastfed a baby and drawn a baby in the same 24-hour time span like I could. My work as a character designer for the show moved into freelance illustration for Nickelodeon after I realized that my role as a studio artist was replaceable, but my role as a mother was not. I have illustrated almost a dozen books for Nickelodeon and enjoyed the process of creating stories while staying at home to raise my children, but I ultimately wanted to be creating my own stories and my own images. As a mother of interracial children, I'm particularly interested in illustrating stories that show diversity in culture and family life. The loving bond between a parent and a child is universal, but the majority of books that have been published don't represent that as much as it could. And I would like to be a voice for the underrepresented minorities of children who don't see themselves reflected in the picture books that they read. My hope is that with your help, I can partner with authors whose stories have meaning, have heart, and have timeless classical appeal in their characters to create memorable picture books that resonate with a wide audience of readers. Below, I have listed my titles of my illustrated books as well as to links on my online presence. As a professional courtesy, I would like to mention that I am currently submitting queries to other agencies as well. I must also mention that after my first submission to you in 2015, I am submitting to you with a new body of work that I am very proud of. I am impressed at the caliber of work from your talented list of illustrators, particularly Peter Brown, Shinji Fujioka, and I hope that my work resonates with you as much as these artists do. Thank you for taking the time to consider me as a prospective client in your growing roster of talent. I look forward to your response, and then social media, blah, 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 and then the list of books that I had illustrated, and then my information. Okay, so that is a deep
Wow.
look. That's a
Just
deep look at a
amazing.
query. Query letters take a lot
Crowd
of time.
applauses.
Oh, thank you. Thanks. So yeah.
That's fantastic.
Here, okay, just to follow it up, because I don't want you thinking that much of me. Rejection letter.
Yes.
Dear Larissa, thank you very much for thinking of me in connection with your picture book. Clyde likes this slide, but I don't think I'm the right match to represent this project. I'm sorry to not have better news, but please keep in mind this is a subjective industry and someone else may feel quite differently. Thank you again for the opportunity to see your work, and I wish you the best of luck. So that's
I have that single rejection letter written 20 different times from different people. With the only thing different about them is the signature. That's it.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm the right match to represent this project, but everybody's different.
Query. Okay, another query. Helpful hints. Oh yeah, looking at different agencies they will actually show you query tips. Oh, well, that's not there anymore because they don't have that. But the idea is that research it. Okay. Research writing queries. All right, I'm going to stop sharing. And then there were some other questions that I wanted to get to. Oh, yeah. Is it weird to collect rejection letters? Absolutely not. In fact, you should.
Yes.
Because
Absolutely.
then you make it into a fun thing because you're going to get them.
Odds are, like I mentioned before, like everybody uses the same boilerplate for their responses and rejections. Every so often, you'll happen upon one that's a little bit different. Odds are that agent or whomever it was wanted to pop in there and just put in something a little personal, saying, "Hey, it's not you, it's
not
me.
You.
No, wait, it's you."
No.
Just so that you understand that they're a human being. Jeff, oh, sorry, go for it.
Oh, no, I was just going to say that when Sarah comes in to talk to you guys next week, I want her to share with you the I don't know if she would be willing to do that actually, but
she would connect them like Pokemon cards.
Yeah, she will tell me about just the terrible queries, and maybe that will help. But yeah, I think a lot of them will say I didn't connect with this because it is completely subjective. Yeah. They have to be in love with your work in order to sell it. And that just might not be the case. You know, it doesn't matter how good you think the fit is. If they don't feel it, it's a relationship. It's not like you can force these things, you know? I heard that the more rejection you get, the more successful your work will be. Something about some will force you to refine your work. Absolutely. Because you are having to refine constantly and get better at mastering and, you know, creating and revising. You know, it's the more you hear no, the more you have to work at improving what you're submitting. Sometimes you're not going to get feedback. In fact, most of the time you're not going to get feedback. It's just going to be, sorry, it didn't resonate with us, you know?
And sometimes that's not your fault. You know, that's life.
Yeah.
That's just, you know, messing up at it doesn't mean that you did anything wrong. It's just life.
But
The
that's
greatest,
where,
the greatest teacher failure is, as a tiny little green gnome once said. Jeff Larkin said, did you ever use another colorist by any chance?
no, I'm doing
Okay.
everything
Normally
my
when it comes
darn
to
self.
getting like assigned another artist to work with you, that's not up to you. That's if you're trying to make your own book or something like that, you can bring in somebody else saying, yes, we are a partnership. You know,
Yeah.
we're creating this together.
You can
Or
absolutely.
they will, if you have a hard time doing colors and you're just like, this isn't my favorite thing, then they'll assign something for you. So
Or you can bring
they'll
someone in.
assign one to you, right?
I think. Lauren Pierre is actually working as a color artist for another graphic novel, besides doing the color on her own or doing her own graphic novel. But yeah, if you don't want to do the color on your graphic novel, you don't necessarily have to. You can hire that out, or they can
Super helpful.
find someone for you.
I just realized that your query letter is very similar to the kind of technique that I suggest my students use in my pitch. You know, towards the last like quarter of my classes, when I'm suggesting them pitch something, the first thing I say is don't pitch your project. Start by talking about yourself.
Mhm.
And I feel like that's actually a pretty good technique to use. It's worked for me,
Mhm.
but it's like, but I'll only like in person thing. So your query letter is going to be kind of like a written version of an in-person 5-minute pitch. So you start by hooking them on you as a person or on your narrative, what makes this story special to you, and then you go into the story.
Yeah.
Does that make sense to you guys?
Yeah.
Does that make sense to you, Larissa?
Yeah. That's totally what it is. It's about, why should they care who you are? What's so special about you? You know, that's what you're doing, is you're introducing yourself. First, you want them to care about who you are. And then you want them to care about your story, and you want them to give them a reason why they should care about your story and why you're telling it. So that's why I said, like, okay, here's me, mother, artist, you know, sitting, you know, nursing my 3 kids, thinking I am never going to draw again. And that is all true. It was all true.
Oh my God, that was the way that I pitched my first thing too.
Really? Were you nursing your babies?
I was not nursing my babies, but I was sitting in my car sweating as I was sitting outside of Disney Animation, going, you know, ready to pitch my first project to them. I was sweating on my baby. Thank you very much, Eden. I was not sweating on babies. I was not sweating babies either. I was, that would be an interesting picture.
Oh God.
No, I was sitting outside in my car going, what the hell am I going to do? And I called my friend Forrest, who had pitched 1 billion times over. And he's like, okay, calm down. Tell me, you know, introduce yourself to me. And for 5 minutes, I said, okay, well, my name's Caleb, and I'm worried about being a dad. That's why I was inspired to write this story about a little girl who worries about her dad, you know, and basically it was this whole intro. You don't start by talking about your story, or, you know, why your hippo is awesome, or why space is cool, or anything like that. You start about talking about why the story came out of you in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like if you do that, it's an automatic hook.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's oh gosh, what was it? It was the lady who wrote the Handmaid's Tale. She's like, you never want to start a story at the beginning when you're trying to pitch something. You never start, once upon a time, Little Red Riding Hood was going to the forest. You start with the hook itself, which is, it was dark inside the wolf. You know, you want to try and make them understand what's at stake here, what is where the story came from and why it's important. Margaret Atwood, thank you very much, Sarah. Totally blew it. Anyway, but you guys get the idea. So start with that when you're doing your query letter, and I think and it's actually a really good exercise for figuring out why your story needs to reach audiences in the first place. It's always a really beautiful little, kind of like a soul polishing experience, being at the back of a classroom, listening to 30 students, reveal themselves as to why their stories about, my cat and this is a story about my cat who's also a witch, and every single time it's different, and it makes you, it's beautiful every single time as well. Anyway, sorry, didn't mean to.
No, that's
I know
okay.
we've got more questions.
I don't know where the other questions are.
Oh, we did. Bum, bum, bum. Okay, so we've got Kidlit pitch event in October. Thank you very much, Shirley. Gonna have to remember that one. There's one in September too, Brigitte. Thank you very much. Graphic novels. Oh my gosh. Oh man, I don't want to show you my stuff because it's so crap compared to Larissa's, so I'm just gonna pass.
Stop.
No, it is 100% crap. But well, it's like 99% crap. There's still 1% good stuff in there. Mel, who's this? This is an exclusive class. You have an interloper. Never mind. I'm just, come back, Mel. Never mind.
You have a young child. And
Caleb, show your work. Show your work. Okay, sure. No problem. The people want to see no self-deprecation. Bad. Then I wouldn't have anything to say. Okay, let me, I have to pop off for a second here and reconnect to my desktop. Give me 1 second to open this up in a different Zoom.
Okay, that's fine. So then we'll talk about then what you guys should be working on. So
oh my gosh, there's so much. Okay, that's actually a really good idea. I'll be right back.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Okay, so what you guys should be working on. So I want you guys this week to kind of, we didn't talk about drawing at all yet. We still have half an hour left in the class, or less than half an hour left in the class, but I want you to start developing your pitch. You can be thinking about how you're going to be putting your pitch package together if that's something that you want to be doing, culminating the work in this class. But I want you to be thinking about what your pitch is, your elevator pitch, and how you would write your synopsis. And well, I don't have any other resources just yet, but I'll be posting those in the resources file folder in the Google File Drive. So you're going to develop your elevator pitch and think about, or begin writing your synopsis, which is the beginning, middle, and the end of your graphic novel. Okay. Jasmine says self-critique is important, but allow yourself to pat your back now and then. Yes, no, that's true. No comparing to each other. Everyone is unique and special in their own way. That's right. If anything, I hope that's what you're getting from these classes. Okay. Ijeoma says, my current story is a short intended for use elsewhere. Can I pitch another story for this assignment? Yeah. I think so. Okay. All right. What I also want to do is waiting. Eden, if you see Caleb pop in, can you let him in?
Yeah, I'm keeping for him in the
Okay.
in the room. Don't worry
Okay,
about it.
good. All right, cool. All right. So then what I want to do, let me escape. There he is. Oh, end show. Oh, we have to take a look at the work you guys did, which is phenomenal.
And I'm back.
Hi.
Yeah, hi. Yeah, sorry, we didn't even have a chance to look at people's work.
Let's look at people's work.
All right, let's do that real fast then.
We need to do that. Do you want to share or should I share?
I think you should share.
Okay. I kind of just jumped right into it.
Do it.
Submissions.
Let me take a gander. Have you guys discussed what your homework's going to be yet?
Yeah, they developing an elevator pitch and then writing a synopsis.
Good. If you guys feel like you can still do something on top of that, I would try and begin your query letter as well. I feel like that would be kind of cool.
Yeah,
But it
if
sort of
that's something that
depends
you
on
want to do.
if you feel confident enough.
Okay. Taylor Blue. Goodness gracious. Okay, I know these are not in the right order. But Taylor, you're working on creating this as a black and white, or is this going to be color? This is black and white. Okay, cool. Beautiful. This is beautiful. Watercolory, kind of inky looking. Quote, don't look too closely. That's where the goblins live. Mother said, if you ask politely, you can make a wish, but be careful how you ask. Okay, there's a recurring character there, which is the dragonfly, which I just noticed.
I love it. It's a beautiful
Yeah.
little motif. When you have something that reoccurs over and over, a little pattern like that, it's I love it so much. It's really
Mhm.
nice. Nice job, Taylor.
Yeah, so I like your open page format, how the images flow from one to the next, and I like the way that you're using the visual elements of like the tonal, like the way that the font kind of comes up and goes into this image here, and that kind of brings it down there to see that one. Those are beautiful. And I know I have to skip around to like find number 3. Because these didn't upload in the right order, I know. All right. Your like wood block kind of looking print type of artwork here is really lovely. Again, you have the visual elements drawing from one to the next. Great flow. Oh, no. There it is, down 4. This is lovely. Father died as empty as a wine bottle. So now it's just us and the pit in the woods where mother said the goblins live. Ooh, and there's that recurring dragonfly again and again and again. And we see the kids go from
So
young
gorgeous.
to old. And I think, oops, there was one thing. Wait, what? Let me close that up. There was one thing that I had noticed that I just noticed now that you had before. Oh, then you did write it. Okay. That you had quotes, yeah, on the things, and then the quotes weren't here. So but I think that would be good if you had the quotes. Let's see. Yes, I love the way this page is laid out. I think the thing was with the text, just the placement of it, and just needing a little dialogue, something to indicate that it's dialogue, and maybe even having this kind of come down a little bit more, or directing to her would work, I think.
Even just like a little rough panel outline around, you could, so that it looks like maybe it's an excerpt from a diary or something like that. But just something to indicate that it's not just floating there.
Yeah, because that one particular bit right here just kind of feels like it's floating, and it doesn't feel like it's connected to anything. So I don't know that she's saying it, because what happens is I look at the flow here. Our last engineer quit today. I don't know if that's what she's saying, or if that's something that she's not saying and it's just kind of being still narrated. So I think there needs to be the dialogue, the quotes either in there or something. And then just some kind of line that shows, even just a line that goes from here to there to show that she's speaking. Because this is clear that she's speaking here, but these 3 panels aren't. Other than that, it's really lovely. I think it's really super great. Yeah, balloons will help if that's something that you want. I mean, but that you don't have any balloons anywhere. So if that's something you want to incorporate as part of your design, that's something you would absolutely do. My friend Ruben Pink, who does A Boy and His Ghost, he has no dialogue balloons anywhere. It's just floating text with lines that direct the dialogue to whoever's saying it. So you know, those are your options. For not, Caleb, you asked for a synopsis, 5 paragraphs. Yeah, it doesn't
Is that too
necessarily, it doesn't have to be necessarily 5 paragraphs. It just has to be you know, at least a couple paragraphs, but no more than 2 pages so that it's beginning, middle, and end, and it's clear. You know, 5
Okay.
paragraphs would probably work, actually.
Well, let's say for like 3 to 5 paragraphs
Sure.
for a synopsis, and then
Yeah.
for an overview, like 500 characters tops.
500 characters.
Well, actually, because that was what PitMed actually suggested before.
Oh, you mean like if you were to type it out on a Twitter?
Exactly, like
Oh.
just for like an elevator pitch.
Got it. Okay. I was like, characters. That's a lot of characters.
500 characters. You have to design 500 characters.
500 characters.
Yes.
All right. Got it.
Monique is on it.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm so sorry. I know I seemed absent during that, but honestly, Taylor, that was exquisite. Really, really beautiful.
It was. It was really beautiful. Okay.
Sarah,
Sarah, this has come so far from when I first started
Seriously.
working with you. It's so lovely. The way that you've developed this. So, okay. And then so I had noticed here just some things that needed adjusting on there, and I pointed them out, and you saw that you will, okay, we'll work on it. I don't want to spend too much time on going over the stuff that I've already noted because I want to share other people's work too. But just this is a great example of what like the black and white version, or you know, the 7 pages that aren't in full color could look like.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Oh, so strong.
So nice. Okay. let's keep going.
Eden, lighting on point.
Yes. Okay. We looked at AB's work before. I just want to make sure that we're looking at other people's work that hadn't been seen. So I'm gonna look at Jeff's. Okay. Oh, and I apologize. I haven't looked at these before. And we're looking at 10, 11, and 12, and then, okay,
Oh.
got it. Look at this. Ink and flat color, no lighting yet. Okay, so you're gonna put lighting in there, Jeff? I think you should definitely do that. I mean, you don't have to, but if you're going to, if that's the way you want your look of your book to look, then you definitely should add that in there.
You don't really need to do a lot. You could actually just sort of suggest it by like leaving some of the room on the inside of the outline kind of white to suggest like light hitting the surfaces or something. I mean, it sort of depends on how you want to do it, but you don't have to make it too painty or you know, Pixar or whatever. It you know, simple's good, and that's a great story.
Yeah, Eden said minimal. She thinks minimal
Same.
shading would be best. That's probably good. Yeah, I think that's a fair thing to say too, because your style, I think that would really fit. Oh, the only color on there.
Yeah, we gave him some notes from last time. It was really good. Great job, Jeff.
Yeah, these look great. Oh, okay. And see, I don't think we've seen Tay's work in class. Oh, we got one.
One works. It's a big one. Oh, I love these Infinite comics. They're so cool. Taylor's did this.
I gotta go
Oh, that's
all the
really
way
good.
up.
This is
Sorry.
sharp.
Sophomore year.
Nice job, Tay.
Yeah, ooh, this is great.
I love how economical this is. It's
Hmm.
like the focus is dark against light, and everything else is like sort of empty outlines except for the focus. And I really kind of think I would feel it's a little scribbly, but I would fill it in just a tiny bit more. But to be honest with you, I love what you're doing with this. It's really fun, really kind of eye grabbing. It's very, I don't know, the tone is kind of shifting around a little bit. I'm not sure whether to be worried or if it's suspenseful. It's really cool. Oh, Lauren's got to take off too. You guys are doing great.
This is
So proud of
fantastic.
you. Yeah. Yeah, that high,
Okay.
same thing, Eden. That high contrast makes you like, oh God, what am I going to miss something? This
Ooh,
is
here
very
comes our
important.
characters.
Yeah, everything's so
Let me zoom out a
distinct.
little bit. There we go. That's better.
Nice work.
Which dorm hall should we pick now? That's the question. Nice. Okay, and let's look at homework during, yeah. Surely week 10 is the last class, so the week 10 is the last class, so there's no homework unless you want to, put your pitch, put a pitch package together. But that's just something you're going to do on your own.
That's when the
Okay.
homework really begins.
That's where your homework really begins.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take a look at Frederick Van Brink. I don't think we've looked at Frederick's work.
Frederick.
Have we?
No, I don't think we
Oh.
have. And we've talked, well, I think we've talked about Frederick in one of the breakaway rooms.
Mhm.
Frederick, you here? I'm kind of loving this.
Hmm.
It
Wow.
doesn't look like Frederick's here today.
No.
But I have discussed this with them. And to be honest with you, it looks like they may have started over.
Oh, maybe. I know that some people were
But
wanting to do different things.
Oh, there they are. Okay, Fred, thank you. Now, this is, Fred, this is new, right? This narrative, this is...
These are
Yes.
thumbnails. That's
An
okay.
apology in the homework. My powers are growing.
You know how many, you guys, you got to tell you how many emails that I'm getting like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. It's fine, you guys. It's fine.
Yeah.
We're doing what
doing
we can
great.
for you, and you do what you can for us, or for
I
you.
kind of want to, I want to put some feedback into this. So don't worry about this. I want to, after class today, I'm going to drop
Yeah,
some notes in there.
do it. Okay.
Because I got questions.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
Okay.
it's good stuff, Fred. Nice job.
And
Question.
Franchon,
Franchon.
page 1. I wish these pages would load the proper way. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, we saw this.
Yes. I'm so hungry. Raccoon. Same. Yeah.
Great expression. That's a great shot.
Well, not only the expressions, but like the raccoon looking down over its butt at its pal that's holding its up over the fence. I'm just like, this is good stuff. This is good camera work.
Mm-hmm.
It's really quite clever.
There we go.
Look at that.
There we go.
Okay, now I remember this. I've seen this.
Mhm.
Yeah. Good stuff, guys.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, good edits to that. All right. Nice.
We only have 10 minutes left.
I
Shirley
know.
has a question. Can we
Yeah.
still continue to give feedback, receive feedback? Yes.
Discord.
Discord, please. There's even, especially if it's specifically like comic
Comics.
or graphic novel related, there is a
Mm.
specific graphic novel and comic Discord. that we can invite you guys to. Actually, I'll just pop it in here.
Pop it in.
Yeah, so if you guys have other things for, that are all like comic related, like I saw this one, it's totally crazy. Have you guys checked this out? Please, I will invite all y'all to the
Do it.
comic book Discord. The Emperor pops into the chat once again. Thanks, Eden. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, these thumbs are so rough. I don't even know what's going on. So as long as you know what's going on, then great.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, okay, I know, let's see, who was it? Some other illustrator was telling me that when they do their thumbs and they have to share that with their editor, they have to literally be sitting there explaining to them what is happening on each thumbnail because the thumbnails are so hard to read. But really the thumbnails are for you to understand the process of where your story is going, how you're going to be visually laying out everything, your characters, your shots. And so if you can look at this and go, yeah, I got it, then that's fine, because then you have a jumping off point to go to the next step, which is the sketches. But if you look at this and go, I don't know what I was doing, then you need to clarify your drawings for yourself a little bit more. Okay. Because really the thumbnails are just the process of the first process of going in and visualizing your story. Ooh. Nice. What is happening? Okay. Wait. Okay. We get for page 1. That's page 1. And then we go to page 2, where we have a completely something different happening. Characters talking down here, walks in, close. All right.
Oh, I remember this one.
You do?
Yeah.
I have.
Go
Okay.
ahead. Go ahead.
I just wanted to know, I was curious, I almost wanted to tag you guys in this one. I was curious if you thought their gutters were too small.
Yeah, they're really, really skinny.
Well, they're small combined with a really heavy line weight, so it doesn't look like there's much time passing in between each panel. I would widen them, to be honest with you. I know it's a pain in the butt, but I think it'll actually make it easier to read a little bit if there's a bit more space, a little bit more time in between each shot. There's some special effects in that first page that will make it the transition make a little bit more sense. But to be honest with you, this does make sense. The idea is that the character is going through a portal and then boop, lands in the real world.
Oh, is that what's happening?
Yeah.
I see. Okay. I'm just slow, I guess. I didn't get it.
You're not slow. It's
I
just
didn't
magic.
I didn't get the magic. Okay, so we're at a new place, we're new setting. I see the coffee or like the pastry shop and beautiful lines. Beautiful colored hair. I mean the texture and the hair is really nice. I really like this shot, this series of shots here is really nice.
Yes. The real world stuff is the blocking and everything that with like I remember it being really sketchy in the first stages, but dang, this has turned into something really concise.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I wrote in one of the comics or comments that, oh yeah, right here, I said, I appreciate that you're treating the environment like a character and taking the time and shots to show it off, because
Yeah.
I
Well
think
said.
that especially going from that like magical transformation sequence before to like the real world, I kind of liked how we went from her going into a portal to like this establishing shot of a very real world place. I thought that instantly brought me in. It was like, oh, we're in a whole new shot, like that would be a transition that I would see on something animated but done in a comic format.
Mm-hmm.
And I commend you with just doing so many backgrounds, because
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people avoid them, and
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
it just gives so much more life. Like even from these few pages that you've given us, like I feel more invested in the story because I can physically see where these characters are.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. So true.
Seriously, Courtney, fantastic job here. And Eden, you said it. Treat the background like it's a character too. Yeah, it doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be, the buildings just need to sort of fit with the story. That's it. Oh, look at that.
Oh, 3D materials on Cliff Studios.
Courtney, work smarter, not harder.
Yep.
High five.
That's it.
Got
Oh.
5 minutes.
Okay. The Danish Thunder.
I'm already more invested in this story than I am in Space Jam. No, I'm not even joking. I mean, look at that.
Yes. Oh, I see what's happening. Okay.
Joam, this is, yeah, you need to finish this page, and then you need to finish like 10 more pages because this is awesome.
It's a thumbnail. That's okay. That's all right.
No joke. It doesn't matter. This is fantastic. It's really, really good.
Mm-hmm. All right.
But I would put some wacky like animal shapes, like put a bear back there or a buffalo or some lizards, little things like that, just to because putting seats back there is cool, but you don't need to. You can just fill the whole place up with weird shapes. And
Oh, yeah.
here's an
Silhouette
elephant.
of people that are sitting in the stands, for sure.
Here's a bunch of horned gazelles or some cows or something. It doesn't, who doesn't love basketball? It's fun stuff.
All right, I'm gonna stop sharing. Okay, so we got like 4 minutes. So the homework is. Ooh,
Okay, well, can I say
Yeah.
to do like a 500 character overview? Okay, so the elevator pitch of your story, right? And be concise, leave out, your story isn't going to be everything to everyone. So be kind of, so it's more about what you leave out than what you put in, right? So that's 500 characters. A synopsis written in paragraph form, like a story, between 3 and 5 paragraphs. No more than like 2 pages. Okay, so try, yes, like double spaced, whatever. Make it nice and clear, but you don't need to. Again, it's less is more when it comes to this sort of stuff. Wouldn't you say, Larissa?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Is there a third thing that you'd like to see, a query
No.
letter, or would you rather keep it to those 2?
Just those 2.
Okay, that's plenty, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
The elevator pitch, kind of, yeah, it's a log line. Caleb, show your work. Oh my God, I'm sorry. I will never show my work ever. I will take no. Holly is smiling at me, but this isn't funny. No, I will hide behind my desk. Oh no, my Zoom froze.
Stop it. I was showing all the student work and I forgot that we were gonna look at your stuff too.
Okay, sure. I'll show it right now. I've got 2 minutes that'll take. We'll be able to spend a lot of time looking at it because it's kind of poopy. Let me show. Host has disabled participant. Oh, that's right. I'm not
What?
a co-host anymore. I'm not a co-host.
Hold on.
Oh no, I can't do it, guys. I'm sorry.
Stop. You can do it.
Taylor, don't. Taylor's laughing at me. This is great. This is great. This is a good preamble to what I'm about to show you. Do it, McCrow. Why do you make things so easy? Did you make me a thing?
Didn't make you a thing, but you
You
should
did.
be able to share.
No. Yeah, I did it. Okay,
Okay.
where's my thing? All right, so let's take a gander. All right, so here's my. I did two different overviews. Okay, the first one is like the tag, the Goonies inspired coming of age sci-fi adventure. That's my Kate Canaveral tagline. If you had help from beyond the stars, how would you go about solving the problems of your town? A strange radio signal, futuristic technology, and forgotten government secrets send 3 unlikely teenage friends on a crazy adventure. Hijinks ensue.
Hijinks ensue.
And this is the one that was more like a miniature synopsis, and I felt like I got better feedback on this one. But I'll say this one too if you want.
Yes.
Kate, a stubborn middle schooler, discovers a lost space-age transmitter while scavenging for a school project, accidentally awakening a strange broadcast. Yeah, there we go. A strange broadcast recorded inside it. Suddenly, she doesn't have to complete her own overdue homework. She has Earth's. With her pals Iris and Houston, as well as their mentor, Gertrude Funk, they race across their desert town solving puzzles and dodging mysterious adversaries to rediscover the lost technology that humanity is meant to have but seems to have lost.
See, there's two totally different things, but that second
Yeah,
one is more of a synopsis than the first one, which is like
Yeah.
the pitch.
Well, okay, so the first one is more pitchy,
Yeah.
and the second one is
More
more like a
synopsis.
synopsis. It's more it's more expository. Yeah,
Mhm.
So this is me learning as I was going along, guys. This is just what I've learned, like literally in less than the past year, like the past 6 months.
Yeah.
Let me see here. I've got other stuff I want to show you.
But
And-
should we
oh.
let everybody next
No,
week do?
Oh, darn it! We don't have time. Poop. Okay, well, guess what, guys? We're going
You
to.
shared it.
We'll stop. We'll take it. I need to stop sharing my screen.
We can share it next week and
We'll
then,
share it next week.
yeah, and then,
Sarah
you think we should
Steinberg.
let people, do breakout rooms next week too?
Yeah, let's do that. Oh yeah, that'd be fantastic. That way
Okay.
everybody can pitch their story and everybody can sort of like
Help each
see
other
what
out.
works and what doesn't.
Okay, all right,
It's
Sounds
always really eye-opening.
yes. All right, did you guys, what'd you guys think of today? Feedback?
Different,
Yes.
really
Yeah.
helpful though.
Not a whole lot of drawing, but, okay, so not a whole lot of drawing, but that's okay. We talked about the pitch stuff. So
It's
next
so
week,
important.
next week you're gonna have you're gonna develop your elevator pitch, you're gonna write your synopsis, and then we're gonna talk about color. I'm gonna show you about color. Kayla's gonna talk about color, and then but we're gonna have hopefully Sarah Rivers, our agent friend, be here talking about agenting and all that other good stuff. So you guys have a wonderful week. Thank you for coming. Thank you for watching the recording. We look forward to seeing your work. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everybody. Thanks for everything.
Thanks, guys. Thank you, Larissa and Caleb, for all your knowledge.
I try.